driving managing application, product support system, streams, global service, desk operations, critical incident management, project management, ITIL and governance. He carries a vast experience across leading projects and capacities working along with global clients. He carries extensive experience in hiring, identifying the top talent, train and create next level of leaders. And very interestingly, Mr. Vikas Paul graduated from our own Viras Government Degree College with a bachelor's in commerce. And later on, he pursued masters in computer applications from Osmania University, and then he went on to join many IT firms like Wipro, Accenture, and Facebook and others. And now presently he is with S&P Global. So I now hand over the session to Mr. Paul.
Firstly, I would like to thank the session. It's an honor, right? You study in the same college and you come back. So I heard from the start that we started off with alumni association in Viras College. So it's great to hear that, right? And you should have this, right? I mean, people studying from this college and then you excel and then you come back, you witness what you did, right? And how you succeeded in your life. So it's great, good to see all of you. A lot of things have changed in the college. I was looking at the road and then I was coming by. I did my graduation back in 2000, yeah. And then it was bachelor's in commerce, by the way, okay? So we did not have computer science during the time. 98, I believe it was, we had this bachelor's in computer applications. But by then, I finished my first year of graduation. Okay, so then later on, after I finished my BCom, then I pursued my Masters in Computer Applications in Hyderabad under Osmania University. Hope you can hear me, guys. Can you hear me? Okay? Yeah, great. Alright, so yeah, I think it's been a great journey from the time when I did my post-graduation and then I started working in Wipro. Wipro Technologies is my first company back in Mumbai. I started off my career in Bombay and then my journey began from there, and then I worked in Bangalore, and then in Chennai, and then a little more in India. And then I've been transitioned over to abroad and worked in the US for some time, in the UK, Singapore, Germany, and then a few parts of Europe as well. So the transition was not that easy, right? However, I was privileged to have that opportunities coming through my way. So what I will do is I have consolidated some of the key things which would help you when you're out of your college. Some of the key elements which we always miss, right? We are confused when we go out of the college. We don't know what to do. We know what to do, but there are a lot of options these days, right? So there's so many things where we get into that zone where we don't know what to choose, right? And how do I move forward? How do I really excel in technology? Or how do I excel in some of the subjects, some of the areas which you really want to go forward in terms of financial, in terms of investment, trading, or technology, whatsoever, right? So I've consolidated some of the stuff from the internet, coming with some good slides out here. So hopefully it's going to be helpful. If I'm fast, you have to pause me, okay? You have to pause it, right? Stop by and then I'll try to be as slow as possible. Alright? Okay, let's get started. So what I'm going to do, we're going to talk more about in terms of how do I transition from a classroom to a workplace. Okay, so all of you, and I'm sure that you are in the final years of your study, right? The next place, either going to be the masters or you're going to be straight to the workplace. So we'll talk about a little more in detail in terms of how do we transition from a classroom to a workplace. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So a couple of things what I jotted down. That's going to be more on acing an interview, technologies to be aware of, and then we're going to move on to slight mock interviews. We'll have some time on the mock interviews as well. Yeah, next slide. Okay, great. So so always, right, we should have some action plan, right? if you don't have an action plan, when you really go to your what do you call your the placements, right? The interviews. At the time of interviews, you will be confused. So we have to always prepare ourselves, right? We have to stay motivated and we have to execute an action plan before we step into an interview. Alright? So what we'll do, so some of the action plans which are jotted down, very basic stuff, you might be already aware of it, but we'll slightly probably discuss a little more in detail, okay, into the specifics. Alright, so first of all, the first thing what you got to do after your graduation or before the graduation is completed, you need to establish a goal for yourself. You have to have a goal, right? So if you are in a commerce, right? I'm from a commerce background, I'm very proud to say I'm from a commerce background, right? So you might be from arts, you might be from science, you might be from technology, computer science, or whatever, right? But if you really, so right now I'm going to focus more on the technology point of view because my background comes more from the computer science, okay? Computer science background, right? So, right, so we got to establish a goal. So always put a question for yourself, saying, ask yourself, what do I do? What do I want to do? It's easy, right? Somebody wants to probably become a CEO. Somebody wants to become a director. Somebody wants to become or probably desperately need a job, right? Any job. So what do I want to do? Where do I have to excel? Where do I have to grow? Do I have to grow in technology? Do I have to grow in, most of the times from Hyderabad, when you talk about, a lot of the employers are from the technology side, right? You will see a lot of big buildings and lots of things change in Hyderabad where you have Amazon, you have Microsoft, you have Facebook, you have Google, all big stuff, right? And everybody wants to work in those companies, right? But it's not that easy, right? We have to prep ourselves. But it's not impossible. It is possible. So I have to get into a tech support. I heard that there are some placements happening in GG College where you are appearing for some interviews for Genpact, Wipro Technologies, some of TCS probably. So I want to start off with your technical support, IT support, to understand the basics of the computer technology or the basics of the server administration, basics of computers, basics of probably programming, probably development. So have a goal in specific, as in, okay, this is my goal. I want to step into a technical support. That's not bad, right? You can always, right? So you can get into technical support, understand the things. Your organization will help you grow. They have their own career development plans. Okay? So you want to step into a job. So you have to step into a job. So be clear, be specific in what you want to do, right? Always have a SMART goal. SMART goal. So what is SMART goal? Guys, anybody know what was SMART goals? Right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant. What's that one? Time bound. Right? This is SMART. Right? So what take out a few bits of it, right? Try to be as specific and try to have a goal which is achievable, right? Put a goal as an achievable. Don't put a goal like, I want to buy a BMW in the next 2 months. Is that achievable? Yes, for somebody, if you have money, right? So, I want to build a house in the next 2 months, right? Does that sound good? Can you build a house in 2 months? No, you cannot, right? It needs time. So have a goal where you can achieve it, right? Don't put a goal which is so big that you can't achieve that. So start setting up goals which are smarter, which are specific, which are time bound, right? So for example, if you want to do a certification, right? If you want to do a certification, don't appear for a certification which is in an advanced level. No, I don't need the basic fundamentals, right? I want to straight away jump into advanced or the expertise level of a certification on Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. Don't go that, right? So you have to always have fundamentals. You need to know the fundamentals of the computing. So have a specific goal in terms of SMART goals. What do you want to do? What opportunities I want to seek for? How many people really want to, very silent, but I just want to understand how many people want to be in a technology company. Can you raise your hand a little bit? I just want to see how many people want to work in technology. Oh, good. Alright, good. Yeah, very less hands. So I think everybody have little more advanced version of thinking in terms of I want to become a chef, I want to become a traveler, I want to become something else. So good. Technology very less. Okay, fine. That's okay. But yeah, good. The few hands what have been raised, right? So let me put a question in this way. How many people want to work for Google? So the people who haven't raised their hands, they don't know how Google functions. They don't know how Google offices, probably. Right? Okay, that's fine. Alright. So, how many people want to work for Facebook? None. Alright, cool. Right. So, guys, I think these are the major global players in technology. Right? If you do not raise your hand, that means there's something which is lurking behind you where you don't know where you're going, right? I mean, you need to think about it. If you really want to start into technology, always hit the big shot. Have a big dream. You have to hit Google, you have to hit Microsoft, you have to hit Amazon. Don't have a goal like I want to hit Wipro Technologies. Yeah, fine. I mean, it's a good company to work with, by the way, because I'm from Wipro. But what I'm saying is, you have to hit the big goal. You should have a big dream. Even though we're little people, right? We work, probably there are so many big colleges and fancy colleges and stuff, but it doesn't matter. You should always have a big dream, right? You need to knock the big offices, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Adobe, all of this stuff. Right, so you need to know, what do I want? What opportunities will I have to seek for? That's the first one, okay? Always have a smart goal. The next is target the organizations. Target, that's what I said, right? So you have to target the big ones, right? Target, if you want to really get into the service providers, like the IT service providers, the major giants are Wipro Technologies, Tata Consultancy Services, IBM, what else? Genpact, probably. What else? Sorry, I heard something. All companies, Tech Mahindra, all big giants, there are thousands, lakhs of employees working out from India and abroad. Okay, so target those. Now, how do you target it? Now, the first thing what you need to do is you need to understand about the company. If you don't understand about the company, it doesn't make sense that you apply for a job. You need to know about Wipro before you reapply for a job in Wipro, right? So you need to target the company. Now, how do I know? You might have a question, how do I know about this company? Everybody, how many people have a Facebook account? I don't believe this, How many people have a Snapchat on your phone? Yes. Good. How many people have WhatsApp on your phones? Very nice. We need that, right? We need to communicate. How many people have a LinkedIn account? Wow. Nice to see. Right? So LinkedIn, right? It will help you to understand about the companies. It will help you understand about the people who are working in that organizations, right? You will see their profiles. You will see and understand the profiles, where they're working, what kind of skill sets they have. What are the technologies they might be working on. They will write their own story, right? So they write their own story. So it's always important that more than what Facebook or Instagram, Reels and all that, it's always for a graduate to come out of the college, it is important to have a LinkedIn account. If you haven't registered, register for it. Go through the websites. Go to Wipro Technologies and see what they do. Go to Facebook and see what they do. We know the Facebook, but we don't know what they do, right? If I ask you what is the business, how does the revenue come from Facebook? Anybody have any idea? How does the revenue come from Google? Right? So you need to know, we need to understand what kind of businesses they're working, how do they get the revenue from, what kind of an industry is that, right? What kind of domains they will be handling, what kind of clients, the customers they support. Right? So it's important to know about a company. So always try to target the organization always try to locate and take action. Now, how do I take action? How do I take action? Guys, I think let's have an interactive session. I'm not getting it. So, how do I take action? Once I have a goal in my mind, once I have known that where do I have to apply for, now what kind of an action I need to take? What kind of action? Anybody? You know, right? So they apply it, I apply it. See, when you're in the classroom, you will have friends. You will try to imitate them. But when you're coming out of a classroom and you want to go to a workplace, it is your individuality. That's your personality which is going to be speaking more than whatever you're trying to influence from, right? So it's always important that you decide on to understand the JD first, and then also how do I apply? You need to also know how to apply for. Majority of the times when you go to a TCS board or job board where you want to apply for something, there's a huge template. I don't know how many people have seen that. To fill that template itself, it will take around 15-20 minutes, and you need all the data ready with you. Correct? So you have to prepare. So first thing, you have to look at the template and see what kind of information they are asking for. Right? And why do they need it? Probably you might have questions, but they would need it because you'll be serving the global clients tomorrow. Right? So it's an information security. You can't just go, now we got an Aadhaar card information. Right? So they need the information. So you need to know what kind of a questionnaire I need to fill in order to apply for a position. Right? So these are coming under the taking an action. How do I take an action? Now determine a communication approach. Now highlight and prep for key points to discuss. Think about what value I can offer. Now that comes in confidence, right? Now what value I can offer, right? Now you need to prep as in what is that, the skill set what I carry within me. Do I have a passion to learn, or is it just the money I want to earn? Passion to learn, money to earn. Right? It's a nice goal. So we need to think about what is my priority. Is that the money which I need to earn? Yes, absolutely yes. Everybody needs money. Everybody needs a compensation, a salary structure, and everything. However, right, when you're starting off, when you are a fresher, you have to maximize your learning. Right? You have to be that mind of maximizing your learning. As in, you have to go back, come with a fresh perspective. As in, hey guys, probably compensation is my need, but that's not my priority. My priority is to learn now. So what is the eagerness am I showing in order to learn the subject? And then I go on, and then I move on. You can't become a director in overnight. You can't become a senior manager overnight. You have to be an associate. You have to be a senior associate. Then you have to go back into becoming a manager, a lead, a senior manager, a director, and then you go back to a vice president or CEO or a COO of a company. Right? There is a step-by-step layer. There's a layer cake you need to step into. You can't just jump in straight away to a bigger role. Until unless you are going to start your own business, by the way. If you want to become an entrepreneur, that's a different story altogether. Right? So maximize your learning. Graduates have a fresh perspective. You have a lot of energy. All the learnings, doesn't matter which subject you are studying. It could be a bachelor's of arts, it could be a bachelor's of commerce, right? It could be probably bioscience or something in the science or something in the computer. It doesn't mean that. Everybody are broad now. They want a graduate in a technology organization. They don't need a subject where you've been growing up, right? If you really are keen to get into technology, you have to take all the learnings in your graduation, what you have carried through in your project work, in your science lab, and that you need to put it in your interview. Don't think that I did a bachelor's of arts. That doesn't mean it doesn't help me in any way in my technology. No, it's not like that. Whatever you do in every subject, in every topic you choose for your graduation, you need to think about it and you need to put those in your interview. And that's what the interviewers will expect. Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? So all the main the main chunk of it is setting up projects, setting up people, setting up resources, giving them platforms to perform, to reach the customer expectations. So the big chunk is hiring. So we hire managers, senior manager, leads, all of these people, right? So there will be some profiles where we get it, where people come from different subjects altogether. Now when we ask a question, which is one of the high pressure questions, why you are switching the domain? Why you want to switch from a different subject what you studied in graduation and then you want to move into technology? Many people say, I'm bored. I don't think it gives me value. Right? That's not the interviewer will expect. You have to know what you have done in your graduation, all these 3 years. What did you do? If you don't know that, then that means there's a gap in you as an individual. Right? So you need to know what you did for all these 3 years. If you don't know that, all the staff members trying to give you a lot of information, a lot of lab stuff, everything is important. All of these things are important, which will help you to which will help you to communicate while you're doing an interview. Okay, while you're doing an interview, right? So maximizing learning. So these are the 5 action steps which are jotted down. It will help you along the way. You establish your goals, you target the organizations, you locate and take action, determine a communication approach, and then maximize your learning. Right. So pre-interview strategy. We should have a strategy, right? For everything, we should have a strategy. How many people know what is the meaning of strategy? So, for example, if I have a party to attend, I have a strategy. How do I attend, right? Without telling you parents, right? I have a strategy for it also. So you should have a strategy when you're going for an interview. It's very important. So it's a pre-interview strategy what you need to do. So practice variety of questions. HRs, not just the HRs, right? Hiring managers. So they'll be having you tricky questions just to understand your personality. How do you react to those kind of situations, right? And how do you answer back? Are you being honest? If you're not honest, right, people will catch you for sure, 100%. You're not be selected. So you have to be honest in what you're doing and what you're communicating to your interviewer. So very important, right? So general question. The first question, very hard to answer for a fresh graduate is, tell me about yourself. Don't think it is easy. Do you think it's an easy question? It will make or break your interview. So the first question, tell me about yourself, either it will make your interview better or it will break your interview very soon. From the 2 lines what you start off with. The first one. Okay? So it's important that you practice, you got to prep for these kind of questions, right? Behavioral questions. People might ask you, right? Hey, you did evaluation, right? So tell me, give an example of the project what you've done. Right? Give an example of the lab practice what you've done. I'm just talking about the other, probably the other subjects more focused on. But again, from the computer science folks, right? They'll ask you what kind of projects you've done, right? Don't tell them about a project put from Alipay. Not going to work. So even if you buy it, you need to know it. You need to know about it. Right? You need to know about that project because that will sell yourself for an interview. That's the key thing which will help you sell yourself in your interview. Right? So, give an example. Tell me about a time when hard questions, right? High pressure questions. High pressure. They try to put the pressure up just to see how they react. Okay? So, what are you looking for? Why are you looking for switching the domain? Very important. So, we'll talk about it more in detail because I just want to cover that. Many people might want to switch to a different domain because somebody wants to work in a technology organization, right? So just I will go a little more in detail. What are your greatest strengths? Another tough question, right? But yeah, I think because an interview is nothing but you're trying to sell yourself, right? You're trying to sell your skills, so you have to be confident in terms of telling what my strengths are. Right? So, we'll talk about a little more in detail in the next slide. Why do you want to work for this company? This is a very important question. Many people, even right now, when I see somebody like a senior manager, when I'm interviewing a senior manager, I say, hey guys, I think, why, what do you think, what do you know about my company? Why did you apply for this, right? You can't just blindly apply for a company just like that. So many people don't know, hey, because you know what, I haven't got time to really, you know, go through the company. That's a very bad answer for a senior manager. Right? It's a very bad answer for a manager to really convey that I don't know about the company what I applied for, where I have to pay him 30L per annum, which is not possible. Right? So if I have to put my budget in for a resource, I need to know how, does the candidate really know about which company is working for, right? Which company is applying for. Okay, technical. At the end, thoughtful questions to the interviewer. Okay, yeah, so, okay, cool. So, many times, when, I don't know how many people face this interview, but I just want to understand, right? So, when an interviewer asks you, do you have any questions for me? Right, probably end of the interview, many people will ask you, but most of the times, you feel like, when do I get out of the interview first? Right? Because I don't have any questions to, I'm already done, exhausted. No. So you should always have a question in your mind, as in you need to know about the role, right? So, which company am I working for and what is my role? Am I working 24/7? You need to know that. Right? Am I working 24/5? You need to know about it. So, the best question you can always ask, how would my performance be measured? Right? If I get an opportunity, how would my performance would be measured in the company? Okay? So that's a brilliant question. You can just keep that thought in your mind. When I'm doing the mock interviews, keep that in your mind. We'll go back to it. I just paused. I think I did a lot of talking, but any questions anybody have? The first question, right? Why are you changing careers? So this is more for the people who are switching from a different subject to computer science. So why are you changing careers? What specifically about this job or industry appeals to you and why? How long have you been considering this move, the transition? What have you done to fill any skills gaps to make sure your qualifications are fit? Okay, these are more for the people who are switching. Okay, so what you need to do is, right, so dive into what you admire about the leadership at the organizations what you're interviewing for. The first thing what you need to know, the reason for the switch is the technology is rapidly growing, right? And I'm fascinated by your organization. I'm fascinated by Azim Premji. I'm fascinated by people like Tata, right? I'm inspired by their the leadership, the management skills, and I want to step into it, right? And I see the culture in that company, where I've seen my brother brother working there, my sister working there. And when I look at it, it's a more people-based organization, and I want to work with an organization which is more people-centric, not process-centric. When you have process-centric, you have to extend your shifts. You have to work overnight. You have to work graveyard. But many of the companies have been transformed now to people-centric after COVID. Right? After COVID, a lot of things changed. Companies became people-centric. Now, what to say? Think about this, right? I've been thinking of moving on to a larger organization for a while so that I can bring my skills to the large-scale audience. When I saw this opportunity open up, I knew I had to apply. My background is so and so, but my skills seems to be perfectly aligned with this position. My skills seems to be aligned with this organization, and then I want to move forward with that. Right? Think about it in those lines. Right? So don't say that technology. I don't know. We'll look at it in the mock interviews a little more in detail. Okay, so let's move on. It's a very, very important thing in India, especially in India. You have to present yourself professionally. You cannot go as in how you step into a classroom. You actually, you know what? You have to be professional in your classroom as well. And that will help you when doing an interview. You have to display the professionalism wherever you're working, wherever you're studying. And that's the thing which in India, many times people tend to sometimes be very casual. I applied for Wipro, I applied for TCS. TCS में देख लेंगे, Wipro के बाद में, right? So we take things casual. It's so important that you have to have a business casual attire. Whether you're doing virtually or whether you're doing physically, you have to have a business casual attire because the first impression is always the best impression. Okay, so the moment you step in for an interview, you have to prep for it. You have to be business casuals, right? At least on a formal attire. Don't be casual. Okay. Be on time. Arrive 15 minutes early to a interview because the competition is so high that sometimes you have to stand by the line, right? So you have to be early so that you are mentally prepared already and you can do the interview very well. Okay. Especially the people in virtual. When you have an interview virtually, it's so important than physically, right? Virtually, you have to be prepared. You should have a noise cancelling headset. Always remember, don't put a headset which you are really using for your audio or your radio, right? You should have a noise cancelling headset when you're talking, when you're doing an interview. So be professional, right? Be professional. Check your microphone, check your audio. If you want to carry your extra copies of resumes, always copy your resumes, get your resumes in hand with you. Okay, always take a pen and note. If you want, just so that at least the interviewer will know that you're already prepared for it. And that's the first impression what you can create. You can't mesmerize the interviewer just by your talking, right? So you should really be focusing on all of these. Right, convey confidence in what you say and what you do. Pay attention to you presenting yourself. Your body language, very, very important. Whether it is virtual or whether it is physical. How you sit, how you move. Don't get confused. They ask you many questions, but don't just move your posters just like that. Because we Indians, right, what we do usually, it's in me as well, right? We just nod for everything. So the other person doesn't know whether it is yes or no. If it is no, also will not. But yes, also will not. Right? Your postures are very important. You have to ensure that your posture is right when you're doing an interview. Even if it is virtual, just don't, somebody walks by, your mom walks by and you'll see, and then you'll come back to the interview. And you don't have a background, you don't have a white background, right? Or any plain background, basically. Right? You should have a plain background, you should take time and ensure that nobody hits in your room till your interview completes. No noises. That's why I'm saying, even if there are noises, you should have a noise cancelling headset. So at least it will stop it. It will stop it not coming through. So it's important to have a business attire virtually as well as physically because the first impression will sell you and you get a job probably with a 12L or probably with a 6L. You never know. Right? You want 12L or 6L? You want 12L? You have to be prepared. Right? Okay, so this is the method which I wanted to talk about. How many people know this method? STAR. No? Okay, good. So it makes me a little more easier for you to explain, right? So any question the interviewer asks you in terms of behavioral or in terms of what did you do at that time in a challenging time like COVID, or what did you do when you're doing a project work, what did you do when you're doing a lab work or a computer science work. Like, you should always look at this method. Okay, the STAR. STAR is nothing but situation. You need to explain the situation. You explain the task, what you did, and then you action, and then what was the result. Many people will stop here. I took the action. Result kuch nahi. Okay, so so ensure that you have a star for every question what you answer. Now this was the situation when I was doing my project work. This is what has been assigned to me or allocated to me, and what did I do? How did I work with my team? How did I work with my staff? How did I work with my lecturers? And how did I gather information? How did I do a fact finding? How did I do a requirement gathering? How did I ensure I executed this project 100% successfully? Right? So you need to talk about the situation, you need to talk about the task, what is the action you have taken, what is your contribution in that, and then how did it resolve it, how did it result it. Okay, so I'll ask you some questions in the mock. I would like to see are you going to use this star method or not. Use it. It will be helpful, guys. I'm telling you, this is the method which is going to be helping you to go beyond. Go beyond. Right? The first impression is always the best impression. Alright, so right, so where do I start? Many people have the questions, where do I start? Do I have to do it in software development? Do I have to do it in DevOps? IT support, cloud platforms, database, cybersecurity, quality assurance. No, you never know, right? So where do I start, right? So all right. So a little more detail about some of the personal recommendations what I would like to give you. There are so many options in the market, but you need to this is my personal recommendation. Looking at the market at this point of time, what. I know how many people know about cloud platforms. What is cloud? Cool. I have seen 2 hands. Very good. 3 hands. Very nice. Right. So this is a rapid growing platforms. Right. Very rapidly, globally, people use cloud. There's nothing called a data center these days. Now, what is data center? Previously, what we used to have? We used to have a room. We used to have a server where you have to place, you have to have a nut, bolt, screw it, connected, LAN, internet connection, you pay for the money, right? So, lot of cash monetization, there's a flow of cash flow. Now, what happened in the coming days, in these days, is cloud. And wherever you see Microsoft Azure. How many people know Microsoft Azure? Only 2. Good. Google Cloud, right? Amazon Web Services. These are the major players of cloud, right? And there's Alibaba as well. But yeah, there are major players like this. So you need to understand. So what I recommend for you guys is to, when you really want to step into, see, it doesn't matter, right? So I also mentioned technical support, by the way, right? That could be your stepping stone possibly to understand computer science, a little more in detail about what is Linux, what is Unix, what is server administration, how do I troubleshoot a PC, how do I see the first training will happen when you troubleshoot, investigate your laptop. The more you troubleshoot your personal laptop or your iPad or your MacBook or the tab, that's where your practical training begins. When you research in Google and you find out the solutions, right? That's when your practical training begins. So the technical support is also, you'll see Kubernetes, you'll see Prometheus, these are all big words, but don't worry about it. Right, so pursuing education in cloud fields, right? The first thing what you need to do is, as I said, there are so many resources available online, something like Cloud Guru. If you want to know about cloud computing, please try to see Cloud Guru, that's very important. Simple Learn, Skillshare, LinkedIn Learning, these are all paid versions, but at least, right, if you're unable to afford it, it's at least you have 1 month free. Utilize that. You have practical labs in there where you can really understand a little bit more. There are beautiful learners, a learning team who will guide you through as in understanding these kind of platforms. Okay, so my personal recommendation would be more in terms of you guys DevOps now. The other part of it is, how many people know DevOps? At least 1 or 2. No? Okay, cool. So DevOps and cloud is the most. These are the 2 areas which are rapidly growing in the IT sector. So if you know the tools in terms of understanding of AWS, understanding of Microsoft Azure. So again, guys, have a smart goal, that you need to know only about AWS, I would say if you want to know only about AWS, go with AWS. But don't put a goal like, I want to do Azure, I want to do Google Cloud, I want to do Amazon Web Services. It's not going to work like that. Now, how many people shop in Amazon? Everybody shop in Amazon? Amazon Bonanza, Diwali, and all of that. Amazon was an e-commerce industry. They have changed the way people shop. The whole retail industry has moved, transformed to now it's Flipkart in India. So, but Amazon is a big player globally, right? So now understand, why do I have the Amazon get into AWS? Already their business is high in retail industry, in the e-commerce industry. Now they have invested to be a cloud. Amazon was not even near to the technology before. They were never even closer to Microsoft. Now if you look at largely every organization has Amazon Web Services. The most highly used cloud platforms is Amazon. From the retail, e-commerce to the technology. Now understand this, right? So again, I'm going to come back. So the goal, keep it one. We want to be doing an Amazon AWS certification, fundamental administration, please go for it. If you want to go with Azure, go for it. But choose one, okay? The next part is the DevOps. Now DevOps is nothing but the collaboration between the development team. Okay, how many people know software lifecycle, by the way? Software lifecycle? No, cool, no problem. Right? How does the product come into the picture? Software, how does the software come into the picture? You have a development team, right? The people who do a lot of coding, scripting, all of this fancy stuff, and then it transforms into testing. They directly don't put it in a production, right? They don't give it to the customer directly. It goes toward testing, and then from the testing, it goes to the support, and then it makes it, before going to live, they go to the support, which is the customer support, right? How do I do a technical support for production? So there is a cycle to it, okay? DevOps is a practice model which helps in automating all of this. So there are multiple tools involved in this framework, in this model, okay? So it goes from coding, planning, coding, building, testing, and then integrate. They go to deploy, operate, and monitor. The moment you give it to the customer, the product, what do you need to do next? Is it done? It's not done. You will have the customer report an issue saying that whenever I'm clicking on this website, it does nothing. So you have to do a bug fixing. You have to fix it later. So you have to make an example like a car, right? So the beautiful, it doesn't stop there. You have to go for a service. And what the car company will do, he will see whatever the problem was with the previous model, and he will ensure that he will get you another BMW or an Audi. Correct? So, according to the market. So it's important that you deploy it, you get the code, and then you operate, and then you monitor it. You monitor the support mechanism, right? So basically, what I wanted to say is these are a lot of tools which are involved in this. So if you want to really grow in the cloud platform, it will also interconnect it to DevOps tools where you need to learn some of the tools. Tools like Kubernetes, it will help in automation. Tools like Jenkins, tools like Git, tools like Nagios, right? These are hot in the market. If you want to really go with the 20L in the next 3 years, that's what will give you. Okay? So if you want to grow faster, you need to learn DevOps. If you want to grow faster, you need to know the cloud platforms. Okay? So that's it. Right. The last thing which I would like to talk about a little bit on mock interviews and stuff like that, right? So a couple of questions which are really important. The interviewers will gauge you. These are the questions. How are the candidates' communication skills during the interview? Okay, that is the first one. Did the candidate research the organization prior to the interview? Did he know about the organization before he applying for it? Did the candidate demonstrate through their answers good team building, or interpersonal skills. The first, they might be asking a question saying, how would you work in teams? Do you like to be a team player or do you want to be an individual contributor? Some people like individual contribution, they don't want to work in teams. Right? Some people like working in teams. Right? So that is another question. So did the candidate demonstrate through their answers a high level of customer skills abilities? Always very important, guys. When you're doing an interview, you should always portray the customer skills, portray how customer is important for you, right? So you have to always keep your customer on the top of it whenever you're answering the question, and that will help you sell yourself for the interview, guys. Believe in yourself, be professional. We've spoken all about it. The most important thing is you have to believe in yourself. That's the key thing which will help you grow quicker and quicker, not just in India. You can go abroad, everywhere, wherever you want to work. So you have to believe. Don't always feel down about yourself. Don't think that I don't have a communication skill. How can I do it? You can do it. You will learn step by step. You can't become a macho man just in a shorter time. You have to groom in. You have to groom in to get into that phase of learning. Alright guys, that's it from me.